Hello, I'm Jonathan Machin and I'm joined by our support engineer today, Chris Simpson, and we will be talking about the importance of training, Chris.
Yeah, hi. Thank you very much for having me today. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Of course, of course. At Procentec, we always talk about knowledge being an important element of maintaining your network and ensuring minimal downtime. And the key part of getting that knowledge, Chris, is of course training.
Of course, training. How else do we get the knowledge?
Absolutely. So today we're going to be focusing on the importance of training at the different stages of a project. That would be design, installation and commissioning, and maintenance.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So today, Chris, if you want to tell me what kind of trainings we have at Procentec, and then we can go in why it's important at different stages and how you can stop costly mistakes.
Yep. So here at Procentec, we are one of the official training centers for PI International. That's Profibus and Profinet. We also do Ethernet IP training. We do the Profibus and Profinet, of course, for PI. We do some RZ training and also some EtherCAT training. Yeah. We do, for the second part of your question, the training is really meant for the different parts of the design. Let's say for installers, we have the certified Profibus installer or Profinet installer. This is done by with an international accreditation. And then we have the international engineers, and this is for the higher up, rather than just installing the cable. You have the higher up to really dive deep into understanding what is happening on the network and how it is, working, how it works.
Yeah. I know I'm very biased, but I've done the training myself, and I'm a sales guy, and even the first level troubleshooting I can do after 1 week of training with you guys.
Yeah, of course. We go very, very simple, very practical knowledge, a lot of practical. We do a lot of practicals in the training. And of course, what's really nice, of course, you can just pick up the book and you can read it. You can go download the guidelines and read the guidelines. But we try really hard to take out the best and really teach to give you the most understanding into that specific protocol. And again, of course, because I travel the world so much, just fixing and being on different factories around the world, I like to try to use my practical experience as well within the training to help the guys understand easier what the types of problems or solutions there are.
Okay, Chris, so we talk about different phases of the project, and the one that we see most faults at is design and installation phase. Can you give me one of these mistakes that happen and how training would help the end user or the customer to stop doing this mistake?
Yes, of course. I think one of the biggest ones is, people copy paste a lot. They don't use any form of redundancy, and especially now in Profinet, it's really easy to just close up and add some redundancy into your network without all the extra components or anything like that. But to understand how and where and why to use it, I think this is something that is taught quite a lot within the training as well. We try to show for copying and pasting. It's much easier to take a project, copy it and paste it, and then maybe change a few names and locations and so on. But in actual fact, it's not going to help at all because there are different design aspects that you need to take into consideration, like EMC or anything like that.
I know Elko and I went on site many years ago, and they were actually building the site there and then, and Elko and I went and looked, and they actually designed it with the Profibus cable running next to a power cable. And of course, Elko being an engineer was horrified at this.
Yeah.
Well, that would have been stopped if they would have done some training at the design stage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can actually give you a quick little story for that. I'll make it very quick. I was in Dubai, at a factory over there, and they were having problems, and it was literally the design. There was too many devices on one segment on the Profibus. And of course, then they got the integrator, the system integrator, to come in and rebuild the network. Yeah. And of course, all they did was the exact same thing. And I laughed about it because now they've spent millions to redesign or rebuild their network with the exact same design. And they're just going to have the same problems again in the next 15 to 20 years. So
it's crazy.
It's insane.
So we've talked about the design phase, but how about the configuration and installation phase? Is there any common faults that you see there, which also could be stopped by having some training with Procentec?
Yes, of course. In the installer, just for the installers, we show you how to strip the cable correctly, how to install the cables correctly, so we connect the shield the way that it should be, because there's very strict rules within Profibus. If we don't follow those rules, we're going to have problems. And we try to teach those rules in the most practical and way for the installers to do it. The same as a configuration within the engineering training. Then we actually do configuration with the guys. We get them to, work with the training kits and actually hands-on, and it's a really good time that it's these installers and engineers can play with the devices, because we can't touch it when the factory is running. But with our training kits, you can really make faults and figure it out.
So you've done design, installation, configuration, and next is commissioning. How can training help you with the commissioning phase?
Yeah, so for the commissioning phase, I mean, of course, we talk a lot. The commissioning, it's going from all the way design to installation, but then we talk about what we do in a lot of within commissioning. So what we do to check, how we do it, the easiest way to do it, what tools there are to use for specific checks. Of course, some are very expensive, but that's what we do, and we help get the guys to understand what is required to commission this network and troubleshoot it as well.
So they ensure that from the start the network is healthy and working correctly.
Yes.
And then the last phase, of course, is maintenance. Probably the most important phase, because once it's up and running, most of our customers don't want it to go down.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So how would our training also help at this stage?
Again, I think I've said now practical so much, but we do a lot of practical in the training. We generate a lot of faults. We really we get the guys to go in and troubleshoot on these training kits. We're creating little faults like in Profinet, we make devices run too fast, or Profibus missing terminations and short circuits and so on. And we really get the guys to go and use the tools to look and troubleshoot. And they actually get a feeling of what oscilloscopes look like, because sometimes just an oscilloscope, people are very like, oh, I don't know how to use it, but it's actually very simple, and we show very simple ways on how to do it. And really, it goes from really spending 2 weeks trying to find one little problem to 5 minutes being on site and finding that problem.
Okay. Chris, that was wonderful. So the importance here is that our training empowers the engineers to manage, maintain, and troubleshoot their own networks, ensuring uptime and minimal downtime.
Exactly. That's exactly what we do. That's what we strive to do with that training, yes.
Fantastic. So if you want training from Procentec, please send an email into support@Procentec, and Chris and somebody from our support team will reach out to you and will recommend the best training for you.
Yep.
Chris, thanks for joining us. So from us at Procentec, goodbye, and we hope to see you next time.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Ciao.